What's up, everyone? It's Tech Trooper 64, and today I'll be doing two videos individually on two new Nintendo NX rumors because, as Wii U Daily describes in this article here, a new week brings a new set of NX rumors, which is true because last week we got a couple of NX rumors, but this time these two, I will admit, are kind of against the grain. Now, if you guys have watched my previous Nintendo NX videos, rumors, you should go see them in the comments down below if you haven't already. But if you've seen them, you'll notice that there's a very, very similar pattern going on with them. That it's a console that's going to be able to support 4K. It's a console coming out next year. It'll be console coming out this year. Sorry, not that next year. The specs are going to be better than PS4. Blah blah blah. Zelda will be coming to it. It'll be a launch title. Smash Bros will be a launch title. There's always the same stuff being repeated over and over again, and that dev kits are being given to developers, and dev kits are being hard to find and stuff like that. But these two rumors, I will admit right off the bat, they're very, very against the grain. So there is a Wii U Daily article, but they don't really go into too much detail about what the article, about what the rumor says, except for it's from an inside source. But I'm going to be going over the two rumors that I found on VG Charts, and actually this Wii U Daily article is actually from one of those rumors. So, yeah, without further ado, I'm only going to be covering one rumor this video, and the other rumor I'll be covering in the next video. So yeah, you're going to hear my mouse click in just a second, and here it is. So, here's what the source named Gino said, and for just a little bit of background information, Gino is the source that told you that Nintendo would release a Pokemon game that utilized a full 3D engine that turned out to be Pokemon X and Y, and said that there was going to be a new type of Pokemon in the game that would be a fairy type, and that the old Pokemon would get these new abilities and forms, and like Mega Mewtwo and all those Mega Pokemon, and told you that the PS4 will be capable of producing modern-day graphics at DirectX 11 level, like Unreal Engine 4 and Frostbite 2 engine level of graphics, and also told you that Microsoft would introduce an Omni project unit that would let game environments be projected at nearly 360 degree fashion around the user Illumini room, and many more way before they were even announced. Is back to say in the dual pixels readership information you created before it was announced. Below you'll find our source Gino disclosing a large sum of information pertaining of the new Nintendo console dubbed codename NX. This is what's to come after the information dump, and all the information below is directly quoted from Gino. So yeah, just keep in mind, Gino, with all those rumors, the Pokemon ones, I remember when I first read those, I thought those were ridiculous. Until they actually happened, which they did. And it was weird that they did, but it was weird, but it was true. Anyways, let's move on. So he says this: I don't have very many details on the device itself, but I do have some background information for it, and some PR techniques they will be using for it. And a thing to note about this device is that most of its production started in 2014, and many of the stuff I listed here was outlined by late Satoru Iwata before his passing. Hence, in the company, the NX is considered the last project of their late president. Employees since his passing utter a phrase at the end of meetings and during idea brainstorm, which is some Japanese phrase, which roughly translates to "for Iwata." Aw, isn't that sweet? But that sounds a little bit too good to be true, unfortunately. The importance of this is that this new Nintendo is highly motivated in delivering a fantastic game system and games. Something that I quote from an employee: have not seen this much forward momentum on a project since they originally launched the Famicom. Wow. Some of the only few hardware info I do know is allegedly it has a wireless HDMI dongle that attaches a flush to the back of the device. A user can pull it out and insert it in any display to a normal size HDMI output, and the device is evolved around the version of the Wii U streaming tech to display in HD to the TV screen, allegedly with the analog controls for movement for small motors inside them for haptic feedback. Meaning if you can control a character and hit a wall, the sticks move away from the direction from that wall to simulate running headfirst into it. This can also be used for jerking while firing a gun, taking damage, moving over rough terrain, etc. It can literally Bluetooth sync with everything. especially smartphones and tablets, to the point where one feature is that you can answer phone calls and display text messages from your phone onto the screen itself, so you don't have to stop and answer your smart device. The closest in terms of power, quote unquote, it gets to is an Xbox One. But an app idea is Wii U times 50 and PlayStation Vita times 100. The key is that all the tech is exactly the same hardware layout as the PS4 and Xbox One, which then combine it with the OS's strong emulation functions, and compiler means that any game of PS4 and Xbox One can easily run on the NX with near zero functions, and compiler means that any game that can run on PS4 and Xbox One can easily run on NX even if you don't do any modification on the original source code, especially if it runs on Android and OS and Unreal Engine 4. This is allegedly why Nintendo has given out dev kits so late. As one third-party dev put it, it's the easiest device we've ever developed for. You just take your code, you plop it on the device, and it works. Look to Pokemon Go, the idea of social features that will be in the NX that will take multiplayer, AR, and Street Pass concept to a whole new level. The real strengths of the device is usability and ease of use. Developers have described to me more than once that it visually and functionally looks like Samsung and the Nintendo 2DS had a baby. I love that phrase so much. And the 2DS and Samsung had a baby. Great. And that it looks friendly, but unlike what most people and functionally would visualize a Nintendo device to typically look. The operating system, named Nintendo OS, is alone very powerful and has many modern features such as mobile operating systems today that Nintendo is trying to be very careful in showing off in fear that it would be mistaken as running as Android. It has also a very strong networking functions as it ties to multiple devices and services and makes it very competent and persuasive eco environment that designed to constantly involve the consumer's lives. Wow. Oh boy. Do I have a little bit of things to say about this? Okay, so you know how I said earlier about all those things that Gino leaked out about Pokemon X and Y? How I thought they were ridiculous? I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but this all sounds too good to be true. And not just that, but from what I've been hearing, this sounds ridiculous. Like, I don't believe it. And if it happens, I will eat my own shoe. I will buy an NX on day one, and I will buy literally every launch title. I swear to you. But this is ridiculous. Like, okay, let's go over each and every one of these quotes that he says. It has a wireless HDMI dongle that attaches to the back of the device where a user can pull it out and put it into any display with a normal size HDMI output, and devices that use an evolved version of the Wii U's streaming tech to display HD to the TV? Like, okay, that makes sense. You're streaming from the console to a device. But you're streaming a device to a console. Like, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm pretty sure there is no device out there that does this. And this is mind-blowing technology. Like, this would be like the Wii with the whole motion controls. Like, the new gimmick that Nintendo's giving is actually pretty cool. But I don't see this happening because it doesn't exist yet for anything. Not just gaming, for computers. Well, actually, I do believe that Microsoft has like a USB dongle, now that I think about it. But even then, like, it's like, it blows my mind, this thing. But let's continue. Allegedly for the analog controls, I'm not going to go into this very much because PS4 and Xbox One, well, Xbox One more than PS4 has this, where it vibrates when you're over rough terrain and all that, and when you get hit or when you're shooting a gun. That's pretty cool. That happens on Xbox One and PS4, but this seems like it's more in detail. But anyway, the next thing, it can Bluetooth sync with everything. This kind of sounds ridiculous. First of all, the Wii U and the Wii are Bluetooth locked. You can't connect it with Bluetooth headsets like you can on the Xbox One or PS4. Now that I think about it, the Xbox One doesn't have Bluetooth. Then on the PS4 and PS3, you can't. You can do that on there, but on the Wii and the Wii U, you can barely do that on there. Yeah. The only believable thing is this next little quote he says about the power of the system. He says the power gets close to an Xbox One, and the app idea is 50 times of a Wii U and 100 times of a PS Vita, and it has almost exactly the same hardware layout as a PS4 and Xbox One. and it can have the same exact idea of a PS4 and Xbox One, and you can have all your PS4 and Xbox One games load on an NX with no problems. This is actually believable. I believe it a lot, this idea. And the fact that it can like just plop on the code and it's easy like that, if that's true, that will make third parties easy to develop for it. Oh god. But let's move on. It's the easiest device that they've developed for. Wow. It's cool. I like it. But this next part, I'm going to skip the Pokemon Go thing, but this next part is really stupid. It's ridiculous. The real strength of the device is its usability and ease of use. Developers have described to me more than once that is visually and functionally as it looks like Samsung and the 2DS had a baby. What? Like, that's a little bit ridiculous. So I'm sorry, but this NX rumor, I would brush it off completely. And again, if I'm wrong and this NX is truly a handheld that you can stream to any device screen, then I will eat my own shoe. I will buy the NX on day one, and again, I will buy every launch title, and I will make a personal video reviewing every launch title and the console itself, if this is true. But to tell you the truth, I don't believe it, and neither should you. This is Tech Trooper 64 signing off. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about this ridiculous rumor. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.